and thank you for joining us on this next session in the packaging day of the FuturePrint Virtual Summit. And I'm very pleased to have Herman Horters from Phoseon joining me. Hi, Herman.
Hi, Fraser. Thank you for the invitation and great to be on this session.
Good, good. And we're looking forward to it. Session is how Phoseon UV LED technology is improving the printing process for labels and packaging. And Herman's been in the industry, I'm not going to say for 20 years, but it's quite a long time you've been in the industry. Obviously working in the curing side particularly, and more recently with business development manager for Flexo with Phoseon. So you've got a broad range of experience. And as I said, particularly want to pick up on some of the interesting things that are coming out of Phoseon at the moment. So over to you, Herman.
Yeah, thank you, Fraser. Yeah, it's effectively exciting what is going on. As you said, I'm 20 years in the UV curing industry, and it's very exciting. When I came in touch with it, it's impressive to see that a chemistry, so a liquid, can transform in a fraction of a second to a solid, which is still done a lot on the market with UV mercury lamps, and now we're doing that with UV LED, and that's where Phoseon is specialized in. So I would like to use the opportunity to show something, so go through some slides with you, and then we can have a chat after. What do you think?
Good.
Okay, so I will have to start sharing the screen.
Great, that's good.
Is it on?
Yes, it's on. Thank
you.
Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. So I just shortly want to go with you over introducing Phoseon, and why Phoseon. Very important for us as Phoseon is we can't do it alone. We have our ecosystem partners who contribute to help the market to make the transition from other drying technologies, which in a lot of time is UV mercury, towards this game-changing new technology. Then seeing that we're talking about labels and packaging, the labels and packaging session. So we identified together with our market partners, what are the drivers and the trends, key trends in labels and packaging, and how does Phoseon fit in this aspect, and where can we help and contribute? Okay, so why Phoseon? Quickly, in one slide, introduce you the company. Just by the way, the slide is on, right? Work? Okay. Phoseon is founded in 2002, so that's 18 years ago, and we were really the pioneer in UV LED light sources. Took about 3 years to get the real products going, but then it really started in digital printing. We are 100% focused on UV LED light sources, so we don't make mercury dryers. We produce about 12,000 light sources per year, and we are the biggest manufacturer of this technology, of these light sources in the market. We use diodes. We buy our own diodes and make our own arrays. We call that semiconductor light matrix, and we have over 25 million sold and installed in the field. We have 160 employees in the company, which is as well the manufacturing, engineering, but also the global sales and support system, which is key to all our customers, especially the converters and machine manufacturers. The core of our technology is building a reliable light source with a very long proven lifetime, and we have arrived over the 60,000 hours of production time with our light sources. Of course, we have our own engineering, and we have our own product developments, wherefore we also protect our IP. So we have over 300 patents to allow and to ensure that companies who invested in our technology can make free use of it without any infringement of patents from other companies. Talking about labels and packaging, Flexo is definitely in one of the important markets where we're focusing on, and we started this about 10 years ago, but we have over 2,100 systems installed on Flexo presses in the field, and that is representing about 80% of the markets on 80% of the market in narrow flexo, in the flexo industry. Other big market is inkjet, and there we work with the key 10 inkjet printer manufacturers. They have all our technology on board. Initially, just generally explaining the UV curing market. So there are effectively three types of applications where we're working on. That is UV adhesives, which you see a lot in consumer electronics, display manufacturing, electronics, and speaker bonding, that sort of application. That happens a lot in Asia. All that manufacturing is going on in Asia. Regarding industrial coatings or UV coatings, we supply coatings on one of the fastest processes in the market. That's fiber optics. That runs about 2,500 meters per minute using our LED drying technology. Thereby we have wood coatings and all types of industrial applications, also in automotive. Coming at the inks, there are several types of printing applications where inkjet was the initial market for us. But since the market, or since our technology is improving and the power out of the lamps is getting higher, we get access to other applications like flexographic applications and screen printing. Screen printing, you have to think about direct container decoration. Okay. In these 18 years, over the years, we have of course developed a full range of UV LED solutions for digital and analog printing, and also industrial applications. And it's a non-stopping line. We're continuously evolving and improving products and getting more power and more stability out of it. Talking about building a long-lasting and a robust UV light source, there's a lot of technology involved, where we start with the core of the system, which are the diodes and the arrays. We buy our bare diodes from qualified producers of diodes. We make our own arrays. These arrays are built onto a heat sink, so a system to dissipate the extra heat that is generated in the diodes during the generation of UV light. That's the key aspect. So the thermal management is the key aspect to maintain a light source consistent in UV output and give good performance on the machine that is installed at the customer. There are a lot of IP involved, so there's a lot of patents in only one lamp. So from the SLMs to the heat management and the electronic control, and then you have to package it to an industrial solution. Of course, the packaging is important. Every type of application requires its form factor and that sort of thing. So, but anyway, this is just to show you how a light source is built and how it's built up. Talking about the stability over time. In industrial processes, it is key that once the production parameters are set, that they remain stable over time. That's for us, it's important that the light source is giving a consistent and repeatable output every time the machine is printing, in this case. And this is what we show here. So this is live testing data from our light sources. All the models we make, we put in our own live testing, and this is data pulled out of it. You can see a stability over time of about 10–50% after 60,000 hours of working. So that's really, really stable. Then we go over the overall UV LED market activity. And so this is innovation. This is bringing a new game-changing technology to the market. We know that the market is very conservative, so you first have to go through the innovation, the innovators. From the innovators, you go to the early adapters, and then slowly the early majority will adapt, and you will penetrate the market. On the left-hand side, you see the segments where we're working and where we are with the introduction of this technology. Digital inkjet was one of the first technologies where they saw the benefits of this technology and where we worked together with the ecosystem to get it going. Then we went to also the spot curing applications in bonding is going on. Screen printing was one of the early ones, sheet fed offset, and narrow flex. So I stay a little bit here because we're here in the labels and packaging part. And that's where we are having a great focus to now bring this transition from UV mercury dryers towards LED dryers. Okay. We can't do it alone. We are good in making UV LED curing systems, but the ecosystem, we need an ecosystem. We need our partners, especially the ink vendors, to develop the properly curing products to allow converters to print what they print today better with LED. And so we work together with a lot of ink and coating suppliers and press manufacturers to bring a complete solution to the market. Okay. When we talk about our ecosystem and our OEM partners, this is narrow at Flexo. You can see the main machine manufacturers are here. So it's Mark Andy, Milpeter, Omat, Lombardi, MPS, and Pulps. Then on label finishing, you have the Refines, the ABGs, all these companies we collaborate with and help the market to bring solutions. And here we have the UV ink ecosystem partner program. So the companies where we actively collaborate with, they have our systems in their labs to develop the processes, and that's a guarantee towards the end user that the process will work in their facility. Here we come to the important aspect and what you more or less asked me to do. Yes, what are the key drivers and the trends in labels and packaging? What do we see? Where can we, as Phoseon, also contribute to bring innovation? So, labels and marketing. Yeah, the market is cost-driven. So cost reduction or the sensitivity of the consumers of cost is getting higher and higher. So cost reduction remains one of the key driver. Thereby, sustainability is becoming more and more important. We want to work towards a circular economy. It's a big drive in Europe. They've taken important decisions in 2025. All packaging should be reusable, biodegradable, or recyclable. So that is a challenge for the whole supply chain, and we try to contribute in that aspect as well. Then the short print runs. That is something the market converters have to deal with. So when you go to the supermarket, the choice of products is getting wider and wider. So that means the packaging demand is getting a bigger variety. So the orders are getting shorter. Nobody wants to take stock. So the stock levels are going down. So you go to a just-in-time delivery market. Thereby, when the era of digitalization, we can see it all around us. Connectivity and Industry 4.0, or the Internet of Things, is definitely a key driver, and it's accelerating more and more. And of course, quality. And quality is already on a super high level. Quality is almost taken for granted, but you have to maintain it stable, and that's where definitely we can contribute to help the market to control it better. Okay, I go a little bit in where Phoseon and how our technology fits in this aspect. So where can we contribute in these drivers? So cost reduction. With our UV LED technology, we can obtain improved press uptime and performance. It's due to the characteristics of the lamp. So it's easier for the press operator to print it. There's less maintenance on the system, so it's not analog drying. We talk about a digital component, so no spare parts, consistent output. So there's less maintenance, no spare parts to take in consideration. It's a cool cure, so you can allow to print on thinner substrates. You have no hot light source above your substrate, or you have no hot air drying system, which could impact the properties of the substrate. That allows the market to use thinner substrates. And you have a long and stable lifetime. So the consistent output is really contributing to a better printing process. And not to forget, UV LED light sources, they use less energy than mercury light sources or to physical dry. Regarding sustainability and circular economy, seeing that the UV LED drying process requires less energy, it's simply more sustainable. And there's a drive for us to go away from fossil fuels and renewable energy. That means it's very important that the less energy is used in a drying process, the better it is for all of us for a sustainable planet. Thereby we can, when we talk about packaging, we can work to a VOC-free printing process. In flexible packaging, there's still a lot of packaging printed with based on solvent-based inks, and we refer specifically to CI Flexo. With UV LED, you can print inks that do not contain solvents, so you can get a VOC-free printing process. This allows to print on the external side of the plastics or of the films. That means you don't need lamination. If you don't need lamination, you don't need to separate it in your recyclable process, so it's easier to recycle. And so no laminate is required. You can work on a single layer, monolayer material, or where you don't have a monolayer, you can work on a mono type of substrate. And so no combination of substrate, which allows an easier recyclability. No mercury, LED, we don't have mercury lamps. We don't need mercury lamps for the curing, so the mercury in can work to a mercury-free society from that perspective. Short print runs and just-in-time delivery. Seeing that the UV LED technology is instantly on and off, you have to press always directly operational. You can turn it on when you want, turn it off when you want. No waiting times, no heating up times, no cooling down times. That allows also easy job changes, so there's no negative impact for your setting your press every time you stop and go. It's instant. That's what I already mentioned, so there's no warm up and cooling down times for the dryers. It's instantly printing. Okay. Regarding connectivity and Industry 4.0, that's an irreversible thing that's going on. Access to data. So LED is digital technology. So we have digital technology. There's a lot of information in the lamp that can be directly accessed. We talk about digital drying. The data from the lamp, that means regarding performance and the parameters, are available. And that could be accessible instantaneously. Normally that goes directly to the control of the machine, but from that aspect, you can do with it whatever you want. And thereby you can also, you can monitor your process. Also, it's about process stability and also a control of your process, and we call that valid cure in Phoseon. Better process control is allows you also, and it also allows you traceability. So you know exactly the real, where it's printed, how it's printed, what were the parameters for the printing, so it can be traced. And that is also a part of the quality aspect. So again, for the curing process, you have a consistent output, UV output, so it's a better and consistent cure. It's a higher intensity. You can have a better penetration, a better depth cure, and a better adhesion on your substrates. It's improved. It delivers an improved quality on coil foiling process due to the better penetration again. And you have better process control, which allows you, allows the converter to have better control for their food safety products. Then again, not emitting direct infrared on the substrate, you have a better control over your substrate. So no flexibility on the press. In summary, so we as Phoseon, we started this revolution, and we're still the global leader in UV LED curing market. And UV technology and UV inks, encodings and adhesives are widely available. And definitely in Flexo, that started already 10 years ago. Now almost everything is available. So successful applications require the correct UV solution that needs to be matched to the press in the process. And we can help you with our ecosystem partners to address your needs. Then the UV LED drying process technology is a seamless fit with the market trends and drivers. So all the groundwork from that perspective has been laid, and we can move on in Flexo to grow. That was it a bit. That was it.
Very much. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much, Herman. So let me ask you a couple of questions. I'm interested in just hearing. Oh, what's happened there? Have you gone off?
I took up the sharing.
Yeah, it's just okay. Cool. Yeah, no, I want to just ask you a couple of questions. So first things first, I guess current economic climate situation with COVID, how's that impacted on the projects that you're working on, particularly in the packaging market?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, COVID is of course a hot item. We still have to live with the consequences of this whole situation, and we still have to. We will have it among us. Certain markets have come to a halt and a stop, but I think also the COVID. Sorry?
Which ones have you seen as the ones that have really stopped?
Well, when you go in lockdowns, certain retail shops simply closed down, so certain direct consumer products have not been bought. Just one example, if you want to buy your cell phone cover and you want to personalize it, that personalization is done on digital printers, which are directly on the shop floor. Yeah. So that business has come to a stop. So yeah. Let's say the smaller digital print business has been impacted quite strongly. Yeah. On the other hand, we've seen that, or you see that grocery stores and supermarkets, compared to last year, they've been growing their business. So 9 to 10% growth in that business. That means a lot of packaging, a lot of labels, and effectively all these converters are having a lot of extra print jobs to do.
So in effect, I guess what you're saying is that for some of your projects that you're working on, and this is because obviously your technology is often inside a piece of kit that's being delivered to provide a solution in a packaging environment, label, packaging. You're saying that those projects haven't stopped, they're continuing. I wonder whether that also applies in terms of some of the things you mentioned about sustainability, whether that story of sustainability, regardless of COVID, still exists as an important issue.
Yeah, sustainability, yeah, that's a good point. Sustainability was already a point, but we have the impression that this only is accelerating the awareness that we have to do things differently than we did before. Yeah. Right. So there's a bigger sensibility from the market, but especially also from us consumers, that we have to reevaluate doing things differently than before.
Sure.
To keep this planet livable for a lot of people that are arriving, right?
Yeah, and as Phoseon, you mentioned yourself, you see yourself really as the market leader in UV LED curing. I mean, how do you, in terms of the competition out there, how do you position yourself in that place as market leader? Why do you think you see yourself as that? Obviously, the amount of projects you have, but what is it about Phoseon that is special?
Well, as we said, we started this revolution, so it's simply not easy. It's easy to build a UV LED light source. It's not easy to build a very reliable UV LED light source. So we have all the competences in-house, and we are constantly going through a learning curve. So we simply have the longest learning curve, and from that perspective, you simply have most experience. Of course, it's always our customers will have to indicate whether we are the leader or not. But
that's right.
from that perspective,
of course. I mean, you know, within the marketplace, there's different places for you know, different propositions that, you know. So, but Phoseon, I guess, as you said yourself, you have some clear, defined benefits that customers see, and you've got a good list of customers, as you mentioned yourself. I also noticed that you see it as quite important, that relationship between you, the customer, the inks manufacturers, the sort of circle of relationship. That's quite important.
Yeah, definitely the ecosystem. That is the real, let's call it the added value, right? So in the end, if you want to have a working process, because that's what converters or customers are looking for, it all needs to fit together. You can only do that when you collaborate with other partners who have similar vision and who want to bring this technology to the market. Then you can be successful. Sure. And it's very fascinating. It's a continuous learning process, because there are lots of substrates and substrates combinations out there. So it seems very simple, but it's really complex. And if you imagine on narrow web flexo, it started about 10 years ago, and we now have 95% of the market covered from that perspective, but it's continuously evolving. New substrates are coming up, and new substrate combinations are coming up. Yeah, so that's definitely a continuous cycle, and it's really interesting.
And you, as a business, I noticed you mentioned that kind of constant evolution of your product to reflect the new substrates that are there.
Yeah. I know that's, and let's say that we, of course, we do the part of the drying, right? Yeah. The chemistry is definitely the part that is the most complicated to get it all together. But again, working in a partnership with these companies, doing a lot of research together, the commitment from the partners together, that is allowing to make the transition to this new technology.
Yeah, I think that's right. It makes sense, that relationship, that you're working closely with them, and that sort of ecosystem that you talk about. So I completely get that. Well, thank you very much for that. Was there any final point you wanted to make regarding Phoseon, or, you know, I think you've summed it up very nicely.
No, I just want to thank you. I think this format is also very interesting. I'm curious to follow this on the web, how this goes. It allows to get access to the people, to the market, to bring new messaging without having to take airplanes, exhibitions, and that's also, I think, an interesting format. So I'm really curious to see how this evolves.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Herman. And perhaps you'll join us. We during the middle of the day, on each day, we have these Remo networking areas where people can kind of ask you questions, and you can go in and talk to some of the delegates that have attended. So do join us for that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I think it's been a good, straightforward summary of where Phoseon are and what you're doing at the moment, and the key USPs that you have in business at the moment. So thank you.
Yeah.